What's going on, everybody? It is your man Cleveland Terry, and to be honest, I'm not even sure why I'm doing this video. I've had a number of people ask me to compare the RANE ONE and the Pioneer DDJ-1000 SRT. And the question is, which one is better, / which one would you recommend? Now, in all honesty, they are two different controllers here. It's like somebody asking you to compare the pickup truck with the sedan. They're two different devices, and it's not something you can compare. What I can do is talk about the pros and cons, or the good points and the bad points of both of them, and then let you decide which one comes out on top for you. Everybody's different, and I can tell you right off the bat, these are both very, very good controllers. And if you have one or the other, you're in a very good place. But for some people, they might prefer one over the other. So let's talk about that now. We have a very limited space here, so we're gonna have to make this work, but we'll get it done. We'll get it done. Also, if you want a breakdown of every little detail of both of these controllers, I have reviews on both of them. So let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room here, and that is the lack of 4-channel mixing on the RANE ONE. That is a big deal to a lot of people. Understandably so. I get it. If you actually need 4 channels, having the 2 is going to be a problem for you. As I said in my previous video, most people aren't using the 4 channels, but if you are using the 4 channels, you're going to be much better off with something similar to this. Now, as far as the channels are concerned, very similar in results. On the RANE ONE, you have 2 switchable line ins, which can also be doubled as a line in and a phono in if you want to use turntables. The same applies to the 1000. They are switchable again with line and with turntables. Now, I do like on the mixer the fact that it has its own switchable color filters here, so you can go your standard high pass filter, which is the default on the RANE ONE, but on here you can also switch it over to noise, pitch, and de-echo. The pitch function on the 1000 is actually one of my favorite little effects to be used, and I love the fact that it's right on top of the board here. Speaking of right on top of the board, one of the things that I think is better on the 1000 versus the RANE ONE is the fact that the microphone controls are on the deck. It would have been nice if RANE expanded the mixer out a little bit to allow for that microphone channel here. Now, as far as the microphone channel is concerned, they both give you 2 independent mic inputs. However, on the RANE ONE, we have XLRs. On the 1000, you have 1 XLR combo jack and then 1 1/4" balanced. On the mic channel itself, the 1000 has high and low EQ. However, the high and low EQ only applies to mic 1. On the RANE ONE, you do have 2 separate mics with both 2-band EQs. That's definitely a plus. However, no talkover on this device. There is a talkover switch on the 1000, and the switches are up top, so it's easy to turn them off and on without having to kind of look down. One of my issues with the switch on here is they're almost dip switches, and they're harder to get to on the RANE ONE. The mixer settings in general are far more robust on the 1000, and I'm not even counting the additional 2 channels. I'm just saying in general, it's a more robust system here. Let's drop down real quick and let's talk about the faders. The up faders actually feel very similar, to be honest with you. So if you don't like the up faders on the RANE ONE because you think they're a little too hard to use, especially if you're a battle DJ, then you're not gonna like the up faders on the 1000. As far as the crossfader is concerned, I'm actually going to say that the Magville fader on the 1000 feels a little better than the Mag 4. However, you cannot adjust the contour of the Magville fader, so definitely have to put a plus on the Mag 4 because you do have far more options. But the smoothness of the Magville fader cannot be denied. Another plus, dedicated sampler knob. I'm not quite sure why there's no sample knob on the RANE ONE. I think that was a missed opportunity. You can map your knobs to the sampler button, but if you map your knob, obviously you're losing another function. So it would have been nice had they put the sampler on there. So far from what I've seen, the sound is good on both of them. We know that RANE always has a very, very good sound. The DDJ-1000, it was probably the first upgraded sound card, moving up from like the SX2. So I've never had any problems with the sound being output from this device. It's a great sounding board. And I'm going to assume that the RANE One, since we haven't taken it out in the real world, I'm going to assume the RANE One has a very good sound too, because that is kind of RANE's signature quality. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Besides the 2 channels, that is a big deal to a lot of people, including myself, and that is the lack of a effects board. There's no effects board on this. You have to use Serato effects. Meanwhile, on the 1000, you definitely have a very good effects system here, similar to your 900. Although I do prefer the paddles versus the standard on and off, I've never been a fan of the old school Pioneer way. I prefer the paddle option for me. Everybody's different, but I do. It would have been nice if this device had come with its own internal effects. That's probably, for me, the biggest issue with this device. Can you work around it? Yes, but it would have been nice. The meat and potatoes of this entire console, especially for the RANE One and for the 1000, rests upon the platters. Platters are the only reason why you bought the 1000 and or why you bought the RANE One. First off, the 1000 is a couple of years old, but it still holds its own. These platters are still my favorite jog wheels for a turntable DJ that they make on the planet. The pressurized plates are closer to that turntable feel that you get when you actually use turntables. I love these things, and I never ever once had a problem with them. They're great. The jog wheels are huge. You get nice surface area, which you can't see here, but the displays are very well laid out. Better on the record box version over the SRT version, but they're still laid out very, very nicely. They have a nice jog adjust, which will allow you to change the weight of the platters. They are very, very responsive and honestly, a joy to use. As far as the pad modes and everything, they're great. The pads are nice, although they're a little stiffer than the pads that are found on here. The RANE One pads, I'm gonna say, feel kind of like a hybrid pad button, because when you press them, the button actually moves inward. On the 1000, they don't really move. You can feel the rubber moving, but not the pad itself. So definitely a difference in mechanics from one to the other. They're both good, they both work well. And we also can't forget about the fact that the RANE One has Scratch Bank. One of a very few amount of devices that actually has Scratch Bank. There is no Scratch Bank on this 1000. And I can tell you this, it will be missed when I use my 1000. This board is about these motorized platters. This is the major selling point. It will continue to be the major selling point. It is the reason that you purchase this system. So the question is, why would you buy one over the other? Well, for me, it's simple. If you are a turntablist and you prefer the feel of vinyl, and you are maybe a RANE 12 guy, this is gonna feel more like home than these ever will. That's not gonna change. Your motorized platter is always gonna be different than your standard jog wheel. These do the job, but this feels like you're actually spinning. So there's no argument that can be made to whether or not these matter. And they feel very good. If I were saying this is the closest thing to jog wheels come to turntablism, well, this is turntablism. It doesn't get any closer to this. This is it. As I said on my review, it's worth noting that you can turn the motor off on these platters and it will definitely feel a little more like a CDJ style system, but you're not going to be able to actually use these as scratch platters anymore. They're both great controllers. They both run Serato. They both have excellent bells and whistles that are exclusive, but exclusives are important. The moving platters, very important. Scratch Bank, so important. And if those two things alone are things you use all the time, then the choice is very obvious to me. These are just fun. it's fun to use moving platters again. Now, I'm sorry that I was unable to tell you a definitive answer because I don't think it's possible. But based upon what I've said here, you've probably already made your decision.
Hey fam, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nino Sazon, aka DJ9, and today we're going to be talking about the RANE ONE and the questions you should be asking yourself before you make the purchase. So on this channel, we talk a lot about DJ related stuff, tips and tricks, gig vlogs, and of course, product reviews. So if you like that kind of content, please help me out by subscribing down below and don't forget to like this video. Yeah! Okay, so the RANE ONE is an awesome controller. It's been out for over a year now, so it's been out for a while. I decided to pull the trigger and pick it up. I've had it only for a week, but I've used it already at a wedding and I've played with it so many times, so it's dope. There are a lot of cool features on this controller. But the thing that drew me to it were the spinning platters. Now, they mimic the turntables. I'm getting into turntablism and scratching and stuff, so it just made sense. It's pretty much like a turntable setup, but in a mini controller package. With all those good things about the controller, there are also a couple of cons when it comes to the controller that you might want to think about before getting it. So one of the first things I noticed when picking up this unit is that it's a very heavy controller. I mean, those motorized platters, of course, we're gonna add weight to it. They have to put metal in it, and the technology to make them spin, of course, is gonna add to the weight. So it is heavier. It's actually the same weight as my Pioneer DDJ SZ, which is massive. It was meant to be a little bit heavier than your normal controller. It's not a deal breaker by all means. Just putting it out there that it's a little heavy for its size. Another thing that I found on this controller is that it only has 2 channels, only 2 decks. So if you're used to spinning with 4 decks, or used to having 2 extra channels just for other inputs and stuff, so you can plug in your iPad or iPhone, you're out of luck. It's only a 2-deck controller. At this price point, it's kind of lacking. Another thing that I can see which is a downside to this controller is that the pads, although they're really good quality pads and they light up, but in direct sunlight, I can imagine it not being bright enough, so you wouldn't be able to see the lights on the actual pads if it was bright or if you're in direct sunlight. So that's gonna be a downside. You're gonna have to look at the screen to look at all the cues to make sure that you follow the cue points properly there. The biggest complaint that DJs have been having with this machine is that it's only software effects. Right? There's no hardware effects, there's no dedicated buttons for the horn or the siren. It does make sense because the software effects on Serato, they're okay, but they're not great. If there were dedicated hardware effects, it just sounds better. A lot of DJs have been griping about that, and maybe in their next controller, they will keep that in mind. So another drawback I hear DJs complaining about is that they think the RANE ONE is too pricey. It retails $1,500 US and just under 2,000 Canadian. And they're saying that for 2 channels and no hardware effects, it's too pricey. They're even saying that the DDJ 1000 or the SRT is a far superior controller than the RANE ONE. Plus, it's $300 cheaper than the RANE ONE. And it has 4 channels and every other feature that the RANE ONE doesn't. I guess that's subject to your personal opinion. It depends on your perception of what's worth it, but it is something to think about. Now, with all that being said, there are a few questions that you need to ask yourself if you're thinking about picking up this controller. First question, what kind of DJ are you? If you're a turntablist, a hip-hop DJ, likes to scratch a lot, then Obviously, this controller is for you. The motorized platters are just made for turntablists, and it feels like you're on a turntable setup. It's the closest thing to a turntable setup in my opinion. It's just a small compact version of that. So if you're a DJ who only likes to mix, who doesn't do a lot of scratching, beat juggling or anything like that, who transitions from one song to another with using effects, maybe you do a lot of dance music, EDM, maybe this is not for you. The spinning platters aren't going to do anything for you. Maybe they'll screw up your mixes actually if you just accidentally nudge them. But there are a lot of better options out there, such as the DDJ SX line, the SZ line, the Pioneer DDJ 1000, the SRT, right? Those are excellent options. Now, if you're a beginner DJ, I don't recommend you picking up this machine just because it doesn't make sense. It's too expensive. I recommend something smaller and user-friendly, maybe something around $300 range or lower, maybe like a SB or a Numark Scratch Pro, something along those lines. So just in case DJing is not for you, you can always just sell it and it's not too hard on the pockets, right? Now, for all those OG DJs who have not made the jump yet to a controller, who are still using turntables, this is made specifically for you guys because it mimics pretty much a turntable setup, just in a miniature controller version. Right, so make the jump, guys. Scratch DJs. If you're on the fence with getting this thing, try it out first at your local guitar center. Or if your buddy has it, try it out. You're gonna love it, I'm telling you. The feel of the vinyl, the 7-inch platters, it's just really smooth. And the crossfader is dope, I'm telling you. Get on this. You guys will love it once you guys try it. The next question is, are you upgrading? What are you upgrading from, and why the RANE ONE? Okay, that was like 3 questions, but I'm gonna put them all together, kind of. Now, I'm just gonna give you my take on this and where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a DDJ SZ, the Pioneer. You guys know that was the flagship controller a few years ago, and it has pretty much everything that a club mixer needs. 4 channels, great mic inputs, great hardware effects, software effects, and you can scratch on that thing, right? It's not as good as this. With basic scratching, you can do some stuff with it. That's actually where I started scratching. I learned the basic stuff on the DDJ SZ. And coming from that for 5 years, going to this, it is a little bit of a shocker, and I am gonna miss the 4 channels, the hardware effects, that horn when you press the button and it, I'm gonna miss that. You know, if it's not worth to move from what you have right now to this, maybe you should think twice, right? Maybe you should stick to that, or maybe get something along those lines that's same as yours, but maybe a little bit of an upgrade. Maybe the DDJ 1000, the SRT will do it for you guys. That's pretty much on the same level as the RANE ONE right now. Those are the new ones that are out and the top controllers right now on the market. So maybe that's a better option for you guys. Think about it, right? Weigh your options. Now, I know how it sounds. After all I said, it sounds like I'm bashing the RANE ONE. But that's far from the truth. I actually really love this controller.
Oh yes, Daddy!
I really love it. Right? Here's a little clip of me just scratching a little bit last night. So there you have it, guys. Just my thoughts on the RANE ONE controller and who it's catered for. I hope this video helped you to make an informed decision on whether or not the RANE ONE is the controller for you. Keep in mind though that the RANE's mandate has always been geared towards the scratch DJs, the hip-hop DJs, the turntablists. It shows with their mixers, and it's no different with the RANE ONE controller. That's just their market. I don't think they're gonna change their mandate anytime soon. RANE equals quality, and this is an awesome controller. So in conclusion, I think the RANE is catered for the scratch DJ turntablist specifically. With that being said, if I helped you make a decision on whether or not you're gonna get this controller, let me know in the comments if you're gonna get it. If you already have this controller, let me know what you love about it, and if you love it just as much as I do. If you got something from this video, please don't forget to like this video, and also if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. A lot more videos coming your way. I'll see you guys in the next one, okay? This is DJ9 signing off.
Can we talk about this RANE ONE for a second? I haven't talked about it yet, and I wanna give you my 2 cents. I just want to give you my 2 cents on the whole thing. It's cool. I like it. We'll talk about the good stuff first, okay? I like to do the good stuff first. So they're motorized platters. They're 7 inches, 7.5 inches, or something like that. So it's a good size, right? Great faders on it. You got the Mag 4 crossfader, which is, so this isn't like the first of its kind, right? You know, these motorized platters, like you had the Newmark NS7, but the NS7 was over 10 pounds heavier, right? This one weighs 23.5 pounds, and the NS7 weighed 34.6 pounds, over 10 pounds heavier. So that's a big upgrade, because that NS7 was like a beast, especially in a case. It's like over 40 pounds. Like, oh my God. So it's 10 pounds lighter than that, but you still have the motorized platters. And then unlike the NS7, it has legit faders where you can really cut on this thing. Like that Mag 4 is legit. So that's really cool. I love the pads on it. I love the layout. Most of the layout, but I have 2 main problems with this thing. Like 2 main problems, 2 main things for, and this is the reason why I won't recommend this shit. I won't, I can't get behind this thing. I just can't. I can't. I don't like my final verdict is I don't like it. And I'm going to tell you why. There's 2 reasons why I don't like this. Number 1, they missed the boat big time with this one thing. They did not put onboard effects on it. They didn't. How? Like, how did you not, like RANE, how did you not put onboard effects on this? How did you not? Like, Pioneer just came out with the SRT, right? Not just, well, a year ago, whenever it was, but like they came out with the SRT, right? Super legit, not motorized platters, but CDJ platters, legit. And it has its own onboard effects, like internal effects. If you guys don't know what I mean by that, there's onboard effects that are built into a mixer, right? And S9 has it, S7 has it, S11 has it, 900 has it, you know, RANE, all the RANE 72, 70, all those have it, right? The SRT has it as a controller. It's the only controller, to my knowledge, that there's probably another one. Don't quote me on that. But regardless, like they have built-in effects where the effects are built into the mixer, and those are the best kind of effects because they just work the best. Like they literally, like everything is super, super, super accurate. They're not digital. They're like analog effects, right? Well, then there's Serato effects or virtual DJ effects, right? Where it's just a MIDI controlled effect. So you're using a effect on the DJ program, and essentially you're just using your controller as the MIDI for, you know, to turn on the effect. And that's it. You just, and you turn it on, and you're just using the Serato or virtual DJ or whatever program you're using, their effects. And the digital effects fucking suck. They suck. They're awful. All of them. Like, I don't care what program you use. You got to agree with me. They fucking suck. Okay, they do. And the RANE ONE only uses digital effects. They have the cool toggles. They have the cool little things. That's great. But they only use, it's only for the Serato effects. It's only for the virtual DJ effects. Wow. That's awful. That's all. So that's like a cool looking controller with, it looks like almost like an S9 in a controller. So if you're not like, if you're kind of new to DJing and you're like, oh man, like I can't afford turntables in S9, but I can get this. People are getting duped into buying this, and then they don't realize that the effects fucking suck. You have to use digital effects on it. Why wouldn't you put onboard effects? And I saw a comment like they said, you know, SRT should have had the toggles. That's true too, but it's also really good if you have the SRT to get familiar with how their effects work, because what they did with the SRT is they made the effects, like the button and the toggle and everything, like how to turn on the effects and how the effects work. The whole effects section of the SRT is exactly like the 900 Nexus, and the 900 Nexus mixer is the club standard. That's going to be in a lot of clubs, if you ever do any on stage stuff or club stuff or anything with like house stuff, the 900 is the standard. So if you're not familiar with how to use effects on a 900, the SRT is a great way to learn that because it's the exact same setup, you know. And I think that's, you know, that may be one of the reasons why they did it. I wish I had the toggles too. I like the toggles better, but as a DJ, I highly recommend you learn both ways. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. But back to the RANE One. Nope. Digital effects. I don't know if they save money that way. I mean, it's still $1,500 fucking dollars, but I would have rather them charge $2,000 and included everything. Just this is the full Shanae controller. I mean, Pioneer did it and got away with it with the SZ. Remember the SZ came out? Wasn't that shit like $2,000 or something like that? It was mad money. I think it was more than that. I think it was 22 or something. SZ was mad money. And they got away with it. They sold a ton of them. So why couldn't you have raised your price on the RANE One a little bit and then included real effects, you know, like real effects? Like that just makes this shit a toy to me. So that drives me nuts. The second thing that I can't stand about this RANE One, the second and last thing, right? There's two things. Why is it crooked? Why is it crooked? Can please someone tell me why it's crooked? Like, why? Why is this thing crooked? Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see where I'm at right here? Right? Do you see where I'm at right here? Do you see how this turntable's like to like the right here? And then the other turntable, like, oh, I can't point the right way. The other turntable over here is to the left. So it's not like symmetrical. Like the one platter is all the way to the left. The other platter is all the way to the left. So like the gap between one platter and the other platter on each side is off. Do you see that? Do you see how it's like off-centered? Why? Why would you do that? I mean, I guess because like if you look at the line, it's like a little mini mixer in the middle and then it's two identical players. But like, why would you do that? Why? Like if I put this thing into my furniture, right? I don't know how I would place it because like it would have to be dead center in the furniture. But if you're looking from like from the outside in, like if you're looking like from the front of the furniture, it's going to look like it's off center. It's going to look like it's hanging to the left. You know? See, there's a dick joke in there somewhere, but it's hanging to the left. Why? Why the fuck would they do that? Drives my OCD up a fucking wall. Why would you do that? It's bad enough you didn't give us real fucking effects. Like it's bad enough that you gave every fucking option except for real fucking effects. Real analog, real deal fucking built-in effects that real DJs would use, right? So that just tells me that you're just like, oh, whatever. They won't notice. This is for this. That just tells me that this entire controller is just for like beginners that want to look like they're spinning real vinyl. Beginners that want to look cool. We're gonna just market this for beginners that want to look cool because they won't notice about the fucking poop ass digital fucking Serato effects. They're not gonna notice, right? They're not gonna notice. This controller's for beginners. It's bad enough they did that. On top of that, the whole thing's crooked. Nobody's talking about how crooked this fucking thing is. It genuinely bothers me. I can't own it. I can't DJ on it. I'd be going cross-eyed the whole fucking time. I really would. I'd literally be going cross-eyed the entire time.
What's going on, y'all? This is your boy DJ MoStyles back with another one with a very brief review and my thoughts on this beast right here. This is the new controller from RANE, the RANE One. I'm not going to get into it in depth. We're not going to talk about the rear or the front of the controller. I'll leave that for another video. But what I want to get into is what's on top and what I feel that the RANE One is missing and who this controller can be for. So a lot of people were complaining about the mixer section. This is a 2-channel controller. A lot of people ask for 4 channels and disappointed that they didn't add 4. That's two channels is all you need. 2 channels is all that I need. If this controller was any bigger, then you might as well erase the entire mobility thing from the RANE ONE. That's the reason for them building something like this, is for mobile DJs. DJs who need something to carry around to DJ booths or to mobile and private gigs. That's not going to take up a lot of space. That's not going to be a lot on your back. They put everything into this small package, which works fine. The motorized platters on this thing are perfect. If you're used to RANE 12s or the Technique 1200s, you'll feel right at home. They're 7.2 inch. Again, if you're used to turntables and you've played 45s back in the days, you're going to feel right at home. This is nothing new, guys. It's maybe smaller to people who've never used smaller platters, but this is nothing new. The technology is just on 100 right now with RANE, so we can't complain about those. Let's move on to the pads. The pads, I've heard people say, well, they look smaller. No, these are the same size pads that you'll find on your RANE 72 and the same exact ones that'll be in your RANE 70. They didn't make them smaller to fit them into this package. Same exact size pads. As far as the fader is concerned, the channel faders aren't Mag 4s. So if you're used to doing tricks and stuff like that when you're transitioning, you won't be doing that on these unless you improvise and you have a workaround to getting them done. But other than that, you will not be removing these and replacing them. They're soldered to the inside of this unit, so they can't be changed. But that's a different story for this crossfader. The crossfader is a Mag 4 fader, which is dope. One of the best faders that I've used out of the box. I mean, butter smooth. There's no need to change this one. Butter smooth. As far as the effect section is, we have 6 effects that you can stack for each channel. So if you choose to add 6, you can. I personally only use 1 or 2, but you can add up to 6 per channel. One thing I must add, this controller does not have any onboard effects. The only onboard effects that this has is a low pass and a high pass filter. That's the only effects that you have built into this controller. Yes, I wish, and a lot of people wish, that it had onboard flex effects. Maybe the update to this controller will have it. Please do. RANE, if you hear me, if you're listening. But as of now, no onboard effects. It doesn't make or break it for me. I still love this controller. Sampler volume. Had to touch down on that because it doesn't have a dedicated sampler volume knob. So if you wanted to control the volume within Serato for your sampler, you either have to go into the computer and do it manually, or you MIDI map it. You have 2 mic inputs, 1 and 2. I would most likely only use 1 mic on this controller. So what I did was I MIDI mapped the Serato sampler volume to the mic 2 on the RANE ONE. That way, I have total control over my sample volume without having to map it to anything that's on the face. It works perfectly fine. Life goes on. The pitch faders are great. I like how they did the long throw on the pitch faders, just like your regular average turntable. That's pretty dope. The search bar, I'm not a fan of it. I never was on the RANE 12, but they've added it to here. Some people will use it. I'm personally not a user of the strip search, but it's there if you want to. Let's get into the weight of this machine. The weight is not heavy. If you've ever lifted a turntable, it's the same weight as one turntable. So the RANE ONE is the same weight as one RANE 12 or one Technique 1200. Now adding it to a case will definitely give it weight, or you can have the option to use a soft case if you feel that it's going to break your back, but it's not a heavy unit at all. Now let's talk about price. People saying $14.99 is a lot of money for this controller. And personally, I think it's priced in the sweet spot. It's priced just right. I thought it was going to be more, especially coming from a quality group like RANE. But I feel it's priced right. You know, a lot of people complaining, oh, it doesn't have 4 channels. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. You could have made it cheaper. Yeah, they could have. But when you get your hands on one of these units, you would see why the RANE One is priced at where it's priced at. You have Pioneer DDJ SRT that you can purchase that has a 4-channel mixer. It has huge jog wheels. But personally, the RANE One is better quality. The SRT may give you more compatibility when it comes to expanding your mixer, or maybe doing internal effects, or adding on more MIDI capability. Those are things that other controllers will give you. So if that is what you need for your experience as a DJ, by any means, go purchase another controller. This was geared towards turntablists, either people who are coming from turntables or those who are looking to get into turntablism. It's a great buy. Like I said, the price is right. It gives you nothing more, nothing less, and I love them. I mean, the acrylic disc on here were horrible on the RANE 12. I don't know what they did as far as the RANE 1 is concerned, but the acrylic discs feel good. They don't feel as bad as they did when I got my RANE 12s, and that's surprising. I mean, it can be because of the jog wheels are smaller, but it works perfectly fine, and I haven't had the itch to change them yet. Although I'm going to customize some, but it works perfect out of the box. Let's stack some of these echoes so you guys can see that it does work. I see in a lot of forums that the effects are not post-fade. They are post-fade. So if you wanted to drop your line faders, your effect's still going to roll. If you cross over your crossfader, your effects are still going to roll. They're all post-fade. You can also control the depth for your throw, your echo, or your delay, or whichever you want to use. So you can do a long throw. Again, it's all post fade. You got 2 USB inputs that you could switch between DJs, or like myself, if you use 2 laptops out in the field, hey, you might need a backup. So you're using your primary and something's going wrong, you switch over to USB-B and your second laptop, it kicks in right away. So it's good that they were able to implement the 2 sound cards into the RANE One. As far as sound, I haven't been able to take this out in the field yet due to the pandemic, but at home in the studio, I've definitely given it a run for its money. I've hooked it up to a professional sound system. I've ran it through my Mackie board, and the sound on this machine is nothing less than you would get from RANE in any one of their pro flagship controllers. So yeah, the sound quality and the sound card is definitely up to par. Virtual DJ users. I don't believe Virtual DJ has been implemented yet to work with the RANE One, but again, as I stated, if you are in fact looking for capability, MIDI capability to run everything between your hardware and Serato's software, this isn't going to be the controller for you. It's not going to offer all of those buttons and bells and whistles that you would normally use on a regular controller to get the job done. So there are a lot of people asking, oh, I'm going to wait till it's compatible with Virtual DJ. Take your time, research, go to the store, fill the controller, and see if this is for you. I mean, this thing isn't cheap. So if you're going to spend your money, make sure you spend your money wisely. You want to know that the controller that you're purchasing is going to get the job done for whatever it is that you do, whether you're a mobile DJ, a club DJ. And I always tell people, do not rush to buy the first piece of equipment that comes out brand new. Take your time. There's a lot going on here, but it may not suit your style of DJ. So those are my thoughts. If you have any questions and want to know anything else about this controller, feel free to hit the comments, like, subscribe, and even share. It's your boy DJ MoStyles. Thanks for stopping by the MoStyles Experience. Once again, it's the RANE ONE.